Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Less Stress, More Peace and Happiness Summit. My name's Janine Wooten. I'm your host for the summit, and I'm so glad that you've decided to join us. We've got so many great speakers and so many great topics, and you're learning lots and lots of different ways to reduce stress and increase your peace and happiness in your life. And today I want to introduce you to someone super special. We are going to be talking to Dr. Lu. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Dr. Lu, and then we'll bring her on. So Dr. Lu, after medical research and practicing medicine for the past 34 plus years, Dr. Lu, MD, PhD, understands that conventional medicine has made tremendous advances in crisis and chronic disease management. She feels that the overall lack of interest in the root causes of most illness and inferior suboptimal aging have kept most people living a, quote, long but declining and expensive life. After resolving her own autoimmune and traumatic brain injury-related issues at the age of 42, she now has a passion for educating those who would love to live a long, juicy, vibrant life and avoid unnecessary crisis and slow decline. Dr. Lu firmly believes that environmental toxins and stress are often the primary drivers of chronic diseases, relapses, and crisis, but are also, more importantly, the building blocks to curing these diseases. By identifying the main root causes and helping people unload the burdens of accumulated toxins and stress and restore their neuroendocrine immune systems, people will most likely be able to experience sustained long-term healing, health, and vitality. So please welcome with me, Dr. Lu. Hi there, how are you?
I'm great, Janine, and thank you for doing this to educate more and more people.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. It's just been so great. And thank you so much for giving your time to help us learn about environmental toxins and how they relate to stress, because I know from personal experience, it's huge. Yeah. It's huge. And in fact, I'll just share with people, we were just laughing before I hit record that I've learned doing this that I'm actually having a hard time with the makeup and the hairspray. Every time I get ready to go on camera, I'm actually allergic. So it's been a little challenge there. But I'm going to give you the stage here for a minute and bring you to the forefront and put your title up. And I'd like for you, Dr. Lu has a lot of information you can find online on YouTube and this and that. And I've watched a lot of her stuff. So I know a little bit about your story, but if you wouldn't mind, it's so impressive. I'd love for you to share your story before we get started.
Absolutely, Denise. So I was just speaking to a cardiologist in Florida. I told her I grew up in China into a family that my mom is a cardiologist. She's 95 years old now.
Wow.
I just visited her 5 days ago. And in China, my grandmother is a Chinese medicine doctor. So I grew up in these two traditions of medicine. So I have really the gift to appreciate the power of Western medicine in rescuing people out of crisis and the really incredible wisdom in Eastern medicine. When these two can combine, I think it's best.
Absolutely.
So I grew up until I was 25 years old. I got my medical degree in Beijing. And then I came here to Medical College of Wisconsin and did a PhD in human physiology, studied the genetics of hypertension. I was a published author and won, different award for it. Then I went into genetic because I felt, why is some people develop certain disease and some people don't? I quickly realized research are heavily funded by pharmaceutical companies for their discovery. So it's relatively biased. And so I really can't conduct my life based on a lot of bias. So I went back to medicine and become an internist and learning about how can we help people in the real life. I came to Mount Shasta because I love climbing and outdoor activity, and started working as an ICU doctor and medical director for skilled nursing. And then quickly started my integrated medicine because I really felt at that time, this was over 26 years ago, that I can actually do a better job, right? But I was very disappointed because I found a lot of even the Chinese medicine modality are still addressing the consequence of chronic stress and environmental pollutions. So started developing a very unique brand 20 years ago now. I was able to help thousands of patients to really regain the core piece, which we call the resilience. Because, you really can't predict life, right? In the past 3 years, we have so much stress, so much toxicity.
Exactly.
And from all different directions. But if you have a strong core, you are not likely to collapse to in and out of the hospital, which is really what we don't want. How do we live like my mother, my grandmother? They're all into their 90s without these type of collapses and frequent hospitalization and crisis of diagnosis over and over. We must build the core. That's what I'm passionate about it, to share with physicians, anybody, practitioners, women, mom, even young people, they get it. So that's why it makes my life super exciting and super, super positive. So anyway, back to you, Janine. That's my story.
I love that. I love that. And explain just a little bit about what you had to overcome, because wasn't it your own illnesses that made you start questioning, why is it my mother and my grandmother are healthier than I am and they're older than I am, right?
So what happened is when I was 42, I came down with after several traumatic brain injury, which is not bad, which is a bicycle incident. I didn't end up in the hospital or anything, but minor traumatic brain injury together with stress put me into an autoimmune chaos. I had psoriasis on my elbow, rashes on my eyebrow, Hashimoto. My antibody was 2000. And at that time, I really thought I have all the tools. I was 98% organic, vegetarian, exercise every day. I was having a positive idea. I was doing everything perfect. Why I still have chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, my neck hurts constantly, and of course can't sleep, palpitation, PVCs, asthma, allergy, multiple chemical sensitivity. So if I go to a Rite Aid, going into this, shampoo, soap, I will have trouble speaking because my voice will become very coarse. So again, at that time, I took so many things to address my symptoms, both holistically and, regular, conventional.
Yeah.
And one moment is I realized something that I was experiencing that my grandmother and my mother did not have it when they were in our age group. That's really the timing of exposure and how long we have been exposed.
So
I discovered, yes, if I can get my brain detoxified and get my neuroendocrine autonomic nervous system reset and trained, with something simple. It has to be simple. And if you can do that over time, you will be able to be really strong and become resilient. So that's really a long-term testing and watching myself, traveling. I decided to document it from labs, from methodology, as much as I can, so I can teach and share. Because it's really something about sharing with communities you love. And that's really my passion, because you want your community to be happy and healthy.
Yes. And your passion shines through. You're just delightful. I love that story. And, with so many of the speakers, it's kind of the same thing. People find themselves in some type of crisis, and then that sets them on a path of discovery. And what I love about all of our speakers is they took what they've learned and what's worked for them, and now they're sharing it with others instead of just keeping it for themselves. So
Yes.
I love that. So so normally in the outline, the next question I ask people is explain how what you do reduces stress, but you've already given us a brief overview of that. And I just want to explain to everyone, Dr. Lu has a presentation. And so we're going to go a little different this time because she's got so much great information and I want to make sure that she gets it all in. So she is going to share with us a slide presentation. If I can get it on the screen, and then that way she'll make sure she covers everything she wants. And I'll just click when you tell me to me to click.
Now, Janine, can you see my little cursor or you can't?
No.
No, okay. So I just have to tell you to move on, okay?
Yes.
So this is just basically my credential. And
yes.
The reason I say it, not because I want to just show off my education, I want to show you why environmental medicine need to be the initial evaluation, not when everything's not working. So that's when I started going through this process, I did get into anti-aging, functional medicine, and hormone replacement. I thought that was really good. That's really most of the functional medicines are doing. But really going back to why it takes so long for a lot of people to experience good things is because they did not address environmental issues. Right. So I want to show you that just so you know, I did have a lot of research on different ways to manage things, but let's go through the bottom line. Next one.
Okay.
So my story really goes into living in China for 25 years and accumulating a lot of toxins at a very young age. And then going into, for another 10 years of doing my postdoctoral research and PhD, again, now knowing I was eating unorganic food, not organic food, conventional food, really doing cosmetic and stress and all that. But you have to see, for the first 35 years, I was not really sick. Do you see?
Right.
Now, the red arrow going down is really when I moved to Mount Shasta. This is where, women going into the perimenopause age, also massive stress. At that time, working in the ICU, having my own practice was very, very, very stressful. And a lot of people see that in their physician, how they age poorly in the past 3 years. They understood stress was a big one. Now, stress on top of a toxic body will make you collapse. That's where my collapse happened, is actually living in a healthier environment, right? I was eating organic food, living in beautiful Mount Shasta, California. There's really not very much toxins in Mount Shasta except a few. But then you can see my breaking point. Severe PMS, anxiety, Hashimoto, thyroid, IBS, brain fog, multi-system problem, insomnia. That's where I had a breaking point at age 42. So quickly, when I started looking at the detoxification daily, getting rid of that stress, effect on our body, and I start getting younger and stronger. So next slide.
That's awesome. And I think I don't want to interrupt too much, but I do want to interject right there. I think a lot of people might relate to that kind of breaking point, especially like you said, over the last 3 years since the pandemic and the just insane amount of stress that brought into people's lives financially, emotionally, socially, not being able to worship, so many things. So I remember saying to someone, I feel like my body is shutting down at some point. Yeah. And so it sounds like that's what you were talking about. Like, you think you're fine, but you're not until it all just catches up with you.
Right, exactly. And then at the breaking point, I want to share with everyone is I did a full body workup because I was, access to the hospital. I got a full lab test, echocardiogram, pulmonary function test, x-rays, because I was coughing all the time. I wanted to make sure I didn't have lung cancer, but everything conventionally showed normal. The only thing that was not normal was actually my bone density was osteopenic, which is kind of interesting. And also I have a Hashimoto, right? My antibody was really high. Everything else was normal. So again, realizing there are certain things that could be a blessing. You know, when I see people is don't cover your blessing with drugs, with
Yeah.
things that you just try to manage. Try to get to the root cause. The
Yes.
earlier, the better.
Yeah.
So
I love
anyway,
that.
so
Awesome.
next one, I want to show you, you know, I started learning about genes raise the gun. 20% of chronic diseases are related to genetic predisposition or, you know, the disease presentation. So this is myself. I have lots of issues, detoxifying, managing
Mhm.
stress. I have interleukin-6 dominance, which is an inflammatory profile. And in the brain, wise, and you know, I have trouble with dopamine receptors and serotonin production. So those are something we have to know. I think it's nice to know so you
Mhm.
can actually make your program
Okay.
simpler. Okay.
I see.
So next page. So now I have a piece of equipment. I teach physicians to use it. I look for people they have the piece. Why is that? Because we can make toxin visible. We can
Mm.
make the minerals issues visible. Now you can actually see changes, which I think is really important because sometimes we test people, we gave them a bunch of things, and then they didn't really do anything or nobody have a follow up. This piece of equipment you can easily follow up looking
Uh,
at the minerals before, after, vitamins before, after, to make sure you are on the right track. So, and it's very affordable. Thank you so much for that. So
yeah.
next one is environmental toxin. You can see there's aluminins. We see lots of young girls have aluminum now. And of
Mm.
course, heavy metals. You want to see overall they're coming down with age, but they're or not going up. This is
Right.
actually kind of sad realization. I realized, Ginny, heavy metal, if it's not going up, that's good news. If it's going up, that's actually not good news. So
Right.
you want to make sure it's now continue to go up.
Gotcha.
So next page. We also have ways to look at the urine test now. So you can look at some of the very common BPA. Many people don't understand what BPA is. BPA is not only in the hard plastic bottle, but also in the liner of the can, in the airplane receipt. BPA have been found pretty much in everybody's blood if you measure it.
Wow.
BPA is an environmental estrogen. It's
Mm.
related to autoimmune, fibroid, breast issues
Mm.
in man, prostate cancer, prostate hypertrophy. BPA is also can cause neuroendocrine inflammatory reactions as well because
Wow.
it behaves like estrogen. Okay, so that's one of them. I continue to monitor, make sure it's coming down but not going up. I'm still frustrated because it doesn't seem to come down drastically.
Uh-huh.
But if you look at other things like glyphosate and then phthalates is the plastic we talk
Mhm.
about in the cosmetic. This is before, this is after. I'm seriously really watching my toxins. I don't just like,
Yes.
okay, you know, I'm telling everybody else, but I'm not going to measure my own, you know. This is really big. Next one.
I love that you actually have measures for these things.
Yeah, this is my most amazing one. When I was 42 years old, now my mother, my grandmother both have osteoporosis,
Mm.
and they're little Chinese ladies, of course. They take
Mhm.
vitamin D. They, you know, they try their best, but they all both suffer tremendously from osteoporosis.
Mm.
Now, when I was 42, I already have osteopenia. I don't
Wow.
know if you guys can see here. This is a 42 point. And last year, I repeated my bone density. My bone density went up to, you know, tremendously, right?
Wow.
And I was 40. I'm going to turn 60 in a month. I have never felt so strong in my bone.
I love
Now,
that.
that's really cool, right? Because
Yes.
people don't understand, why do you detox? Why do you do these things? You really want to make your body stronger. I just
Mhm.
came back from 3 days of hiking, thousands of feet up and down the hills and bushes. I had a bike accident before that. My elbows all crashed.
Oh,
I do not. I have a strong bone and a fast recovery. That's really when people say, Dr. Lu, why people even bother to be healthy? So you can enjoy life
exactly.
instead of watching other people enjoy life, So again, I want to encourage all of you, if you are, for over 40 and 50, don't think your life as downhill slide. Think about
Right.
this is the time to reset so we can be ageless. So next slide.
Beautiful.
That's really the key, right? So I love to show people these pictures because when you are healthier, you are going to bring that incredible hope and really encouraging people, the baby boomers, people they're 40, people they're 50, doing things to your body and supporting it with strong nutrition and detoxification. You are going to have a better life when you're older. So next slide.
Love that.
So that's another thing about cosmetic. I am never into dyeing the hair, but when I was turning gray here, I thought, well, maybe I have to dye the hair. Then my daughter, being a hairdresser, and she said, Shanhong, hair dyeing is actually really toxic. And she told me all these things. The hair have to stay dark. So I said, I'm going to try to detox and see if that will make me last a little longer without the hair dye.
Yeah.
So again, that's actually my picture. You can see, I'm not into cosmetic procedures at all. I do not
Right.
do anything painful. This is something that you can do naturally so you can be healthier from inside out. So next one.
Yeah, these are great.
So let's go through what are environmental toxins. Next one. And this is a big slide I want people to see because in the past, we have some metabolic waste and some toxins, and our body are dealing with it over thousands of years. But in the 20 years to 30 years in the past, we started having a lot of man-made chemicals. And they are basically in the industry, in our skin product, in our food, air, home, everywhere. So chemicals is the biggest group that grow out of proportion
Yeah.
since World War II ended. Heavy metal become a big issue due to a lot of the fracking and water treatment. And we're digging out a lot of heavy metal from our earth. Now, many people don't understand the rapid economic growth in China and India, in the developing country, are mounting up a lot of pollutants to the surface. Now, I'm not just blaming them because at the beginning of industrial revolution in England, and then coming to the United States with chemical revolution, the Western world also contributed
Yeah.
tremendously. But
Yeah.
right now, why everybody's sick? Even people in China is sick. So I'm really kind of pointed out that the entire world
Right.
have to re-examine the economic growth. We have to at some point say, hey, can we really enjoy life without so much money produced in the name of economic growth?
Yeah,
So the
exactly.
next one is mycotoxins, which is actually very old and it's a chronic issue. But when your immune system is toxic, the mycotoxin become a problem. The next one will be modern radiation, which is basically, we want to have EMF. We have amazing cell phones, and I can take picture in the wilderness. So these all contribute to the environmental challenge through the eyes and breeze and injection and skin. Now, if you look at the body itself, our body is made to detox through breathing out, sweating out, peeing and pooping, including hair and nails. These are good things to get rid of these junk. But if we overwhelm with our body from the outside, meanwhile, from the inside, in the recent 10, 20 years, we have so many diet. which are actually toxic to the kidney and the liver.
Yeah.
That's what I see. People want to lose weight, but they don't understand why they're gaining weight, right? So that we're really doing the wrong thing, adding more toxins to our body. So that's really the big picture in this picture I want to share. Next slide. So now people say, hey, Dr. Lu, how serious this problem is, right? And it's really, we call the toxic synergy. With the chemicals in the big bottom line start to affecting our body, our body's natural barrier, such as the blood-brain barrier, the gut barrier, right? The leaky gut, leaky brain, leaky liver, leaky kidney is where the glyphosate and electromagnetic frequencies can work together. So our body's natural barriers are not as strong as before, right? Stress also does the same thing. So that's really something like people say, well, my daughter, is doing all kinds of things and she smelled like big perfume bottle and she seemed to be walking around fine, but your daughter is younger. Remember, by the time they're 20s and 30s and 40s, they are going to start having problems. So next one. Okay. Now, this one is overwhelming. I want to skip it, but really you just have to appreciate being human today. The easier to be human is actually in the rural area where there's no chemicals and stuff around you. But it's becoming less and less possible because everybody like the cities and towns and the city, have all the stuff. But it's really human activity related. Next one.
I see. I actually prefer rural myself.
Yeah, rural.
I'm getting ready to start my own garden again.
Perfect. Right. Yes. So I want to show people agriculture. This is actually my biggest realization is we not only spray on Roundup ready crops. Roundup is a very popular herbicide. I'm sure everybody by now know it. People love it. And but they are also spraying for harvesting. This is where I learned from organic farmer is industrial farming have made the farmers working less but have more productivity. So they spray these crops like wheat and hops and grains and legumes. Is they dry the leaf so they can come in with a huge equipment and harvest them. Now think about it. If they're spraying right before they make bread, or they're spraying right before they make the beer, then you drink it, that's where you eat it, you get the most. That's something people don't understand. Oh, I'm not a farmer. I don't live in Iowa or Sacramento, but I'm eating these food, right? So that's really something I need to point it out. Next one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is a great slide that shows how many things are being sprayed with glyphosate.
Wow.
And some of them like almonds. For a long time, I buy cheap almonds, conventional almonds, and I didn't realize almond, growing also involve this is 2 million. Okay,
it's insane.
2 million pounds per year of glyphosate. So again, it's insane, right? You have all these food are being sprayed. Next one.
So I eat a lot of almonds too. This is going to make me rethink organic or not. I've always eaten organic in the past, and then honestly, I've just kind of slipped off of that. And especially with food being so high right now, we've been, slipping into buying, but this is reminding me how important it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And then of course, I looks like I'm a party pooper, you can see the beer and wine, even organic wine are being tested too, because the profound wide use. Animal farming, a lot of people didn't know that the fish and the pork are being and chicken are being fed on GMO food, which is very high in glyphosate as well. Wow. And processed food are really bad. So next one.
Yeah. It's everywhere, isn't it?
It's everywhere. This is the beer. When we found out the highest people having fatty liver disease right now and liver damage is age 24 to 36, because they're young and they like to have a beer after work. And many people don't understand it's not just the beer that's hard on the liver now, it's what being sprayed in the beer. This is what's, you're seeing glyphosate. Glyphosate is related at low dose to liver damage and testicular damage, which can cause low testosterone in young men. So again, very, very important information here.
Absolutely.
To eat organic, peak organic IPA seems to have much less glyphosate. Next one. This is the food testing. Again, I'm now saying this that just out of blue. This actually, people actually tested North America's food compared to the rest of the world. And you can see this beautiful food that, people love plants and promoting plant-based are also found to be really high in poison.
Exactly. And look at this infant cereal. It should be against the law to have it in infant food. It should be against the law to have it in all of our food.
Exactly. Next one. Okay, so this is a sixth unexpected place. When we had the incident in California where this man was hurt, his job is going to public school and spray the school ground. He actually developed B-cell lymphoma. I don't know if he's still alive. He reported this problem with skin lesions. And of course, he was being ignored. And this is the first lawsuit in 2018. The chemical company Monsanto, now Bayer, actually lost their case. So this is opened up a lot of line. When I started asking people, look at the truck next to the road, look at who is spraying the tree wells, understand it is actually profoundly common that people use these herbicides in the world today. Next, yes. So now we, in California, you can see the government also use a lot of herbicides for maintaining the road, the power line, the irrigation ditches. We have a group of organic farmers are very enraged because they found out they spray copper. This is a copper foundation to treat the weeds, and also glyphosate in the water ditches. So the organic farmers are concerned that their water is being contaminated with herbicides.
This is crazy.
So, next one. This is a global trend of increasing pesticide usage and also fertilizers. And of course, the US is leading everybody, and everybody is following it. So entire ecosystem is being challenged. Next one. This is documentation to show glyphosate uses compare other herbicides. Now, what's interesting, I encourage people, when you go to Home Depot, go to the herbicides, you'll find out, the glyphosate containing herbicides does not have warnings. If you go to 2,4-D, people use a lot of 2,4-D, which is Agent Orange. It actually have some warning, like saying, you may have irritation of the eye, you may have nausea, vomiting, blah, blah, blah. The glyphosate containing herbicides has no warning. That's why people love it, and they feel, Dr. Lu, you can drink it. It's very safe. We really rely on a lot of the information, on the bottle. But you have to understand, in the United States, chemicals are considered safe until proven opposite, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. It's the opposite of, you have to assume man-made chemicals are dangerous until you have some basic testing.
Exactly.
So it's a really interesting philosophy in our country. Next one.
It's upside down.
It's upside down. So how do environmental toxins cause disease? Next one. Now, this is a complex slide, but I formulated this slides because the past 3.5 years, I understood the immune system polarization, not just immune system weakness. When our immune system are bombarded with toxins and stress, it actually funnels into the cause of chronic inflammation. because a lot of people address chronic inflammation, but they didn't understand it come from the stress and toxins. So when you get rid of the stress and toxins or minimize it, your body will be less inflamed. Otherwise, you always are treating a symptom of a dysfunctional immune system. Next one, liver. A lot of people doing periodic liver cleanse. Everybody's liver is toxic, but they don't understand when you have heavy metal and glyphosate on board in the first detox, your liver doesn't even work. So you can be doing milk thistles and liver-friendly diet and stuff. You're not going to really solve big problems here if you continue to have exposure or ongoing accumulation of glyphosate and heavy metal. That's really the key, because we see so many people doing liver cleanse, 10-day cleanse, like periodic little things, but they don't understand you really have to do this on a daily basis. Next one. Wow. So why some people have disease, some people have Parkinson's, some people have cancer. So this is really when it comes down to the genetic. We have a lot of people doing genetic studies. They just like, oh, my genes are not so good, and blah, blah, blah. But it's really not it. Everybody has something. I tell people, no one is perfect, okay? But what's really interesting is when CDC and NIH, they're both national level of, health organizations. They both recommended, but virtually all diseases, okay? If you see the statement, they said, all diseases are the result of the interaction between genetic susceptibility and modifiable environmental factors. So we have two things we can play here, okay? If you just look at genetic susceptibility, it only explains 20%. The 80% is the epigenetic, is the genetic modifiable environmental factors. So we really need to honor the gift here. We need to give up that I just have a bad hand of card, or I am really good because my parents live 90 years old.
Right.
That conversation needs to change. We need to look at the environment plays 80%. 80%, no matter how good your genes are, is going to affect you sooner or later. Next one.
Absolutely. And I just, again, want to interject right here, because that right there, I think this right there is like the most important thing for people to understand, because there's hope. Like, there is hope. You can make these changes and improve your situation. So this is really empowering.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, the next one is my recommendation or call for action. Because when we talk about toxins, we start becoming pessimistic. People need to see yourself as a bucket, okay? So why this bucket is important? You look at the orange line, that's individual tolerance. The yellow line is when people start having diagnosis or symptoms and stuff like that.
I see.
Our goal is not to make yourself completely clean. Our goal is to detoxify the toxin below your tolerant level, okay? Just the lower, the better, of course, because you have more room to play with. For example, I just went to China and Taiwan and Zhuhai, for 3 weeks. In the hot weather, you basically eat everything. You're on the plane, you're wearing the mask here and there. You are basically being bombarded with a toxic 3 weeks, right? Because I'm losing control of my environment.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is I did not get sick, right? So that's not really because I have special gift. It's really because I've been detoxifying a little bit longer. So the tolerant level is higher.
I see.
So that's really what I'm calling, even you have cancer right now or Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, whatever, if you lower this level a little bit, your resilience will be better. So that's really my call for action, because people just give up. They're like, oh, I'll just take drugs, take more and more drugs and give up. Right. No, if you can lower it, your body will feel better. Not curing disease, but your body will be able to process less toxins and your body will feel less stressed. So something you do a little bit at a time, you'll feel difference. So that's my call for action.
Yeah.
Next one.
I love this. And also, besides, giving people hope, this also makes it where maybe it's a little bit manageable. It's not overwhelming. I don't have to completely change everything, just do a little bit at a time and improve a little bit at a time. And once you can get under that level, you'll just feel better. So it makes it not so intimidating. Like everybody can do this.
Everybody can do this. Absolutely. Okay. Next one is, how do we assess toxic load? So next one, the reason I want to say this is because when people have toxins, not everybody have symptoms. So it's important for physicians, they started seeing some primary care. They're having people relatively healthy. They said, hey, I'm gaining some weight. What I should do is, instead of telling them to be on a diet and blah, blah, I want them to start looking at assess the toxic level. So you are going to be ahead of the disease much longer. So that's really when I say, when I have an allergy patient or people have breakout rash, I like to start, like, let's take a look, is early on. Let's look at your genetic and your environment so we can start making some sense in the future, right? So that's really the key. The next one, the necessity for assess toxins. Next slide.
So I love what you said about getting ahead of it.
Getting ahead of it. When I'm almost 60, and I know, Jenny, you're also in the 50 years old.
I'm actually over 60.
Oh, you're 50. You
look
No,
I'm over 60, 62.
Wow, you look really, really good.
Well, thank you. Good genes, right?
Yeah, I know. I'm passionate about teaching the young people. I think sometimes a lot of people with these things, they just do an inhaler, or they do. I really want them to know the immune system and nervous system are very sensitive. When you start having these issues, allergies, ADD is pandemic, right? So when your brain doesn't function the right way, ask why. Sometimes you ask, when my patient asks, why do I have this? I don't just say, well, I don't know, I like to do my workup. That's really something I'm really, really consistent. I said, I can give you something for the symptoms, but I like to know why.
Exactly.
And that's very empowering. Otherwise, people think they're just bad person and punished by God to have cancer, Yeah. I really, really want to address the why. Next one. So when people say, cancer is now pandemic in the early onset cancer, this is really when I become really concerned, because recent public health study by Harvard Medical School, this is a brand new study just published. They talk about the global increase of early onset cancer in people younger than 50. Okay.
Yeah.
That's when I said, okay, enough about me. How about our younger generation?
Exactly.
And when I start looking at this, it's very dangerous cancer growth, is I know this is environment. This is not a genetic phenomenon. Next one.
Yeah, I agree. What about, can I ask a question? What about people who have a cancer diagnosis already?
Absolutely. When they have cancer diagnosis, I said, you have to do this. The sooner, the better. Okay. I work with a lot of patients. They're already stage whatever advanced, and they have gone through many things. I said, you need to learn about toxins. So number one, you know what caused it. Look at your genetic. We can design a program to help your immune system. Okay. Because in my experience, I have people stage 4 cancer in complete remission, right? We know that. Your immune system make the call. I tell people, your immune system make the call. Not your doctor, not your surgeon, not your radiation oncologist.
Yeah.
Your immune system make the call.
I love that.
I can tell you that because I'm an old lady. I've seen a lot of people living healthy, actually healthier when their immune system is better, So it's really something I encourage people. Do not give up your power.
Right.
Do not give up your power. Next one.
Don't give up and dig into this information. This is really, really, like I said before, giving hope and empowering people. I just love it.
Yes, yes. So this is another study shows USA Today, rectal cancer have doubled in younger people. And if you talk to a gastroenterologist, they will tell you that cancer happened in young people in the colon rectal area actually behave different from the old people having cancer. Okay,
Oh, wow.
These cancer are much more aggressive. They behave like they have no barrier. The immune system is really not working in these young people. Next one. A neurodegenerative disease. You are from Florida. You are at the forefront of seeing a lot of aging people aging poorly because they all moved to Florida to get old, right? It's but the problem is Parkinson's and dementia are rising so quickly. Even faster. Parkinson is a disease of neuroinflammatory toxicity.
Oh.
So immune system in the brain start to attack the brain at a much younger age. Now we see in the past, it was men in their 70s, 80s, right? And now we're seeing in the 50s, people start having farmers in their 50s and 30s. I just saw a young kid have tremor in the left hand. He's only 34.
Wow.
You really start to need to look at what's causing it. Otherwise, these people have a long life. How long you can manage dopamine deficiency, right? How long? Not very long. So again, talk to a neurologist. Ask the neurologist to call me. I'm going to show you how we can actually stop the progression by removing environmental toxins and neuroinflammatory reactions to these toxins. Thank you. Next one.
Awesome.
Again, obesity is also environmental toxins. This is basically, everybody see this map before. This is back in 1992. And the more colorful we are, the higher percentage of obesity is. So again, environmental phenomena, not just food. Not just food. I tell people, I have people actually exercising, eating organic food, and still not able to lose weight. And of course, we always blame our patient eating too much, but a lot of them are toxicities. So next one. So this is a great statement. Obesity is a normal response to an abnormal environment.
Oh.
Okay. Not just you have a bad gene, not just if you look at this bad gene, some people will be obese all the time, right? But, if you look at 50 years ago, when I first came to America in 1988, I remember 0% in our entire department are obese. We may have one or two little chubby, but now you go to Milwaukee, you go to the Midwest, half of the people are obese. Now, obese is not just a little bit chubby. Obese is over 30 to 40 pounds overweight. How many people are like that now? 40%, according to the CDC, right? Again, it's an environmental response. The body is responding to the environment by accumulating the toxins in the fat. Fat is a perfect place to store toxins. Perfect.
So it's as if that's a defense mechanism for the body.
Exactly. Next one.
Very interesting.
Isn't that interesting? So this is a beautiful, beautiful film I encourage everybody to watch. It's called Living Downstream. And the story is really interesting. It's like a villager. I mean, this is basically a village in the tale that live downstream and seeing people drowning in the water. And the villagers are very kind. They all go there and rescue these people out of the water. And they build a hospital, elaborate bridges, elaborate boats, rescuing people. Like right now, you're seeing cancer centers, pediatric cancer centers in every major city, everywhere. People are really, really trying hard, cancer drug, Alzheimer's drug, all these things. But not one person in this story said, wait a minute, why we're seeing so many people in the water? We need to walk upstream to see who is pushing these people into the water. And
I just got chills when you said that.
yeah.
It's beautiful.
Who is pushing the people? So that's why I think this is a beautiful film about this issue of environmental toxins. Next one.
I'll definitely look for that. That's powerful.
It's a very powerful story. Yeah. So what I encourage people is don't mop the floor. The same story. You know, if you have a plugged sink and running faucet, which is toxins and stress, we're just really mopping the floor. Some people said if you don't address the toxin stress, we should just all go back to conventional medicine, right? Because we're really, really not getting the floor, you know, just turn off the faucet and then unplug the sink. So very simple idea. Next one.
Great visual.
And the next one will be, let's do something simple. Because when it's too complicated, people simply give up. Next slide.
Exactly.
So when people come into the toxicities, I want them to know when you do tests, you just have to keep in mind, some of the tests only shows recent exposure. Some of the tests shows what's in the tissue over time. This, for me, are more interesting to me than just getting a snapshot. But both of them have benefit, right? So next one. This is a scan I recommend everybody, you know, look around www.theoligoscan.com. I'll send you the link that people can find in your area, you know, to get a scan, which takes like two minutes. And they will give you the minerals, antioxidant levels, vitamin levels, and heavy metal level. And it's very affordable. I normally charge $130. Some practitioners charge a little more, but nevertheless, it's the cheapest test that you can look at your minerals and vitamin level, and then the heavy metal level. So very good one. Next one. Okay, so monitoring, make sure it's coming down. You know, this is expensive. Not everybody want to do that, but you want to have idea if your detox program is working and continue to do so. So again, you want to see BPA come down, you know, overall everything come down.
Yeah.
So I want to close down. I have so many testimonials. I know we're way over time. I want to offer, you know, this solution is let's have a 10-minute conversation. And I can basically go over what I would do, no matter how sick you are, you know, because sometimes we lose hope if they're 82 years old, have Parkinson's, you know. Let's have a conversation and to see if this makes sense. Now, it's not for everyone, of course, but I think it's really important to know there is hope.
Yes.
Hope for our planet must start with ourselves. And I've seen people that are environmentalists and die from cancer. That's just not good.
Wow.
You know, we have to start restoring each of us, and then we can help others and our community. That's really what I am at. It's not about doing my program and I have to be the right person. I just want everyone to know we're all in this together.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Denise.
Oh, gosh, thank you. And you've just given everybody so much great information. And like I said, I love that you've given everybody hope. You're right. That's exactly what it is. So well, this has been like such great information, and I've learned so much, and I'm inspired to, you know, pay a little more attention. And it's kind of like I know these things, but I've gotten lazy about them, to be honest. So I'm going to get a little more diligent and look into it. And I probably will be giving you a call because I love the fact that it's measurable. So
wonderful. I love it.
Thank you so much,
all of you.
Yes, and the gift is very generous. I'm sure people will be calling you for that conversation because I'm sure you can get a lot covered in that 10 minutes just to kind of point them in the right direction.
Yes, thank you so much, Denise.
So, thank you, Dr. Lu. I really appreciate it. This has been really good. And I hope that you have a great day.
You too.